Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Getting Out of Bed with Micah, where I take you along with me on my journey as I grow in discipline through getting up early and starting my day off in a productive, successful way. So today it is Friday, and we have completed a week of successfully getting up at 5 with no snoozes. So I am very happy, very excited with how this week has gone. Took a long time for us to get here, but we are doing it. We are getting it. I'm very happy. I did manage to have my coffee meeting yesterday with my friend, so really happy about that. Always enjoy hanging out with him. He's been super cool and helpful in my life because he's older and he's been doing this longer than me, this whole Jesus thing, and we kind of developed a relationship because he's a youth pastor and I work with youth, and spent like 6 months kind of filling in as a temporary youth pastor when we were in a transition period. And during that time, he was super helpful to me in navigating what all of that looks like. So really thankful for him, and he's just super fun. I enjoy hanging out with him. So that was really cool. Love getting to do that. And it took us a few weeks to be able to make it happen. So so I was really happy that we got it to work. But anyway, what really jumped out at me in my Bible reading today, reading in Matthew chapter 19, and I'm going to read some verses to y'all straight from the Word, and we're going to start in verse 3. It says, "Some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked him, 'Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason?' 'Haven't you read,' he replied, 'that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has put together, let man not separate.' Why then," they asked, "did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away?" Jesus replied, "Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for marital unfaithfulness, and marries another woman commits adultery." The disciples said to him, "If this is a situation between a husband and wife, it is better not to marry." These people, man. Anyway, so like this kind of I feel like as you really look more closely at this, it kind of dives into a whole thing, a whole area of complete brokenness in the perspective of humanity at this point, and even in God's people. Like, you expect this kind of stuff from the world, but these were God's people. Like, he had been showing up, he'd been doing stuff, and still you see how humanity takes its course, and there was such brokenness in them because basically what was going on, if we take it all the way back to Moses, and when Moses gave this command, or when God gave this command through Moses, basically these men were just divorcing their wives for any reason at all they could possibly come up with, and then taking someone else, but the woman was then left as this pariah because no one believed that she was actually divorced. And it was this whole thing because the system of society was so broken from how God had intended it. And so Moses commanded that they give a certificate of divorce so that the woman could show everybody that there was a reason she wasn't with her husband anymore, and it was a decision he made, and so she was free to find another husband. But the brokenness of this just blows my mind because, God created men and women to be joined together, to be a reflection of the fullness of who he is. He designed us to be different, and to have unique and special roles that each of us play, and to respect and honor each other's roles as we come together, because without the unity of us, we do not create the fullness of who God is. Because basically, I like to look at it as men and women are two halves of God's entirety. So like the different personality traits and different ways that we operate and interact and do these different things are basically two halves of the entirety of who God is. And so as we come together, we reflect who he is, and this is how it was designed. We're supposed to honor and respect the differences and the uniqueness of the individuals, of the different genders. But society had created the system that women were completely nothing, and it was such brokenness, so far from what God had. And so it just trips me out when they ask this, and Jesus responds with, no, you're not supposed to be just divorcing your wife. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's trying to, like, get them back to, God created you for each other. Yes, she is yours when you marry, but you are hers. And you need to realize that this isn't your some commander, some dictator. You are each other's. You become one. You are no longer two. You are one. And everything that you are is hers, and everything that she is yours. That's the whole intended purpose of marriage. So no, you can't just be divorcing your wife for whatever you want. And and even his disciples, their response to this trips me out. They're like, well, if that's the case, then we shouldn't get married. I'm like, guys, is this really that bad? Like, I'm single, I'm not married, but I know a lot of married people, and marriage is amazing when done properly. Like, you do these things the way that God intended, and it's absolutely awesome. Yeah, there's difficulties and there's struggles because you are two different people, and humanity does, have an effect. But, I mean, I love the idea of getting married. It's just crazy to me, how far we can drift from what God intended, and then we want to turn it around and say that this is better, but it's just this fighting and this brokenness and this pain, this constant tearing and ripping apart of these relationships, when if we just do it God's way, then it creates this beautiful reflection of who he is, as we stand in unity and become one. So it's just really interesting to me, and these are the kind of things that I love as a single person, because it helps me to see the different areas that I could fall into as I step into marriage, because the best way for me to prepare is to recognize things, that failure points that I could have, and deal with things inside of me before I even get there, so then when I get there I can be the best man for her that I possibly can be. And the best way to do that is be as much like God intended me to be as I possibly can. So I love things like this because it kind of helps me and challenges me. But yeah, so hopefully that was enjoyable to y'all. I thought it was interesting, amusing, sad, and challenging, and helpful to growth. And that's what it's all about, is growing. So yeah, that'll be it then for today's Getting Out of Bed with Micah. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And always remember that you are important, that you are valuable, that you matter, that Jesus loves you, and so do I. And I'll see you next time. Toodaloo. Bye.